This is one of those moments when you have both good news and bad news. But I want to start this video off on a high note. So why not just start with the good news? In fact, it's really good news. Take a look at this. Yes, we have a new car. This is Trionic 7's latest addition. And this is not just any car. It's a Saab 9.5 2009 Vector Griffin with a 2.3 liter BU power engine. So it's a great car. It's one of the latest model years of the Saab 9.5, and it's the Griffin version, which means it has more or less extra everything in it. But the best thing you can surely see for yourselves, and that's the laser red color. In my opinion, the best color a Saab 9.5 can have. Now I understand your immediate question, why do we buy a new car? Well, I'm sorry to say this, but Luxen is dead. I drove it last week and suddenly the oil light came on. And it's been to the workshop and we can't find any easy, obvious things to look for. So unfortunately, I have to sell it on. Now this does come as a big shock, especially to me. I've taken good care of this engine, but apparently something has gone very wrong. And since the car is in a different city to where I live, it's quite far away, I didn't have the opportunity to look at it myself. But the fact remains that we do need a car, so we went looking immediately, and Anna, my wonderful wife, she found this little gem. And it is the newest, the best looking, and the lowest mileage car I've ever owned. Yes, we did have to open the piggy bank for this unexpected expense, but I think it was worth it. And we're hoping to keep this car for many years since we're starting off at such a high point. This car is a model year 2009. It was manufactured in March of 2009, which makes this car almost 8 years old, since we're currently shooting in February of 2017. Here is the mileage, and it's only gone 148,113 kilometers. So it's a wonderful looking laser red car. And it's actually a sedan this time. We didn't choose a wagon, since my commute to work doesn't really require that much space. And we do have Anna's wonderful Fusion Blue 2006 Saab 9.5 Vector, which can take over the role as something big we can pack a lot of stuff in. So we just bought the car 3 days ago. I haven't done anything to it yet, so this is the virgin state. Next, this car needs a name. And the red car, Luxen, is dead. And now we have a new red car that takes over its role. I've decided to name this car Phoenix, rising from the ashes of the old car and taking over the role. Being of the Griffin model, it has extra everything. You see this very nice top of the line Aero steering wheel. This is a brushed aluminium look inset in the wheel, but it's actually plastic in usual Saab fashion. We have the turbo gauge here. We have the best stereo, the 200 watt Harman and Kardon system with 2 subwoofers in the back and a total of 9 speakers. We have an automatic dimming inner rear view mirror. The interior is the full leather option with a 2-tone light and dark leather color. And being the 2.3 liter engine, it's the biggest engine you can find for the 2009 model year. In fact, the Aero wasn't available for purchase after 2008. So this car, the 2.3 liter with the Garrett GT17 turbo, is the most powerful car you could buy this year. But we are actually quite close to being an Aero car. If we change the turbo from the GT17 to the Mitsubishi TD04 and make a remap, we have, with the exception of the rear brakes, essentially the same car as an Aero would be. Remember that the 2.3 liter BU power is very close to the Aero in terms of specs. So it has the Aero clutch, the Aero front brakes, and the sports chassis. So even though it's not as powerful and brutally fast as Luxen, it's quite good. So let's go for a test drive. And let's go. In general, this car is in very good shape. But there are some minor things that we need to take care of. For instance, there is a small ding on the left rear door which needs to be fixed. It's all the way through the paint and through the base coat. The previous owner has 2 kids which have been sitting in the back, and I think it's one of the kids maybe opening the door too fast once. Also, the cover for the right outer rearview mirror is glued. Apparently it fell loose sometime before. I'll look into that, see what the best fix could be. But mechanically, this car is in perfect shape. It drives really well. Steering feels great shifting, and the engine is making a beautiful sound. And I love the feeling of this almost metal-like steering wheel inset. It feels great to hold for long times and has a really sporty feel to it. Now this is a BU power car, which means that Saab from factory allows for both normal gasoline and E85 fuel to be used. With E85 it gives more horsepower, up to 210 horsepower. So it's quite a powerful engine even though it's not the Aero. We're now coming out on the E4 highway through the city of Jönköping, and people here can't drive, so let's hope nothing unexpected happens to our new beautiful car. Rust-wise, there's not much to speak of, except for one little small patch on the left side behind the rear wheel. That's the classic place for rust on the Saab 9.5. It's almost 4 p.m. on a workday, which means the traffic is now filling up rapidly. Luckily, we're just before the actual crush hour. Hopefully we won't get stuck in traffic. So we are the 3rd owner of this car. And the funny thing is that the first owner, or I should say lease operator, was actually Saab itself. So Saab leased this car for the first 3 years of its existence. But it's not Saab Automobile, it's actually Saab, the airplane manufacturer. And then after the lease was over, the car was sold to the previous owner, the second owner, down in Skåne, the southernmost edge of Sweden. So this Sunday I took the train down all the way to Skåne, and I found the car to be to my liking. Of course, some small things that needed to be done, but that was a good starting point for a discussion about price. Talking about price, we did open up the savings account to be able to purchase this car, so we'll be going easy on expensive mods in the future. This is a really steep hill for the trucks. As you see, the trucks have a hard time getting up here. Now with this car being an 09, it's much newer than any other car I've owned, so there are some new features that I'm getting used to here. One thing that isn't really essential but still nice to have is TPMS, which monitors the tire pressures for me. Now of course I, as a car enthusiast, do check my tire pressures regularly, but still if something were to happen like a slow leak or puncture, I would be told right away through the dash. Right, so let's kick it down. 3rd gear, and hit it. It's good. You can really feel the turbo surge coming in there, making quite of a noise and also pushing you down slightly in the seat. No, it's not an Aero, it's not the great oomph that I got from Luxon, but it's still a really nice car for the long commutes I have to do. As I said, the chassis, the suspension is in great shape, and so are the brakes. We love this car. Yes, we paid more money for it than we are used to paying for a car, but in return we got a car with low mileage and a very late model year. And it has the nice Griffin badges on the sides, and it also has the Vector package of custom options. For instance, rear parking sensors. I think that's really important. Also the rain sensor with automatic windshield wipers makes it really easy to relax during long commutes. Another thing with it being a sedan is that the road tax is cheaper. I'm paying just below 1,500 Swedish krona a year, which can be compared to the Aero, for which I paid over 2,600 krona. It's almost half the road tax than the Aero, and this has to do with engine performance. It's a smaller, less performing engine than the Aero, and also that this car can run on E85. The biopower cars here in Sweden used to have a 5-year tax exemption, which is also one of the reasons it was very popular with Swedish buyers. And best of all, I can just put in a bigger turbo. No one will notice, I still pay the lower tax and I will get performance like the Arrow. Now that's what I call tax evasion. And being a smaller engine on paper also means it's cheaper to insure. We couldn't afford full coverage for the Arrow since that would be almost 10,000 Swedish krona a year. But we can afford it for this car. And it's also important to have full coverage now because it is a better car, a newer car, in better shape, and of course more costly to buy. But we are getting close to home, so I'll be signing off here. Now do expect more videos of this Phoenix, our new 2009 Saab 9.5 Vector. You have been watching Trionic 7, and as always, we are the YouTube channel for Saab enthusiasts. I hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.